Hello, my amazing students. This is Mrs. A, and I love math. And we're doing pre-algebra today. We're doing the Saxon Blue Book, Lesson 3. And we're talking about subtraction and subtraction patterns today. So let's just review a little bit of our basic subtraction. I'm sure you won't have any problem with this. But when we start out with a problem like this, 47 take away 21, we don't have to borrow or rename or regroup. Okay, there's different words for it, but it all means the same thing. We don't have to borrow because we can take away a 1 from a 7 and we can take away a 2 from the 4. So basically what's happening is we have a little imaginary line between the tens place and the ones place, and we are subtracting the ones, and we're going to put the answer there, and we're subtracting the tens place, and we're going to put the answer there. So the answer is 2 tens and 6 ones, or 26. And you already knew that. So, like I said, this is just a review. Sometimes we're going to have to regroup or rename or borrow because our digit that we're trying to take away from the one above it is bigger than the one we're taking it away from, and then we must borrow. Okay, so we're going to come over here to the tens place, and we're going to say, hello, Mr. 10. May I take away one of your 8 tens, leaving the tens place 7 tens to work with, and we take the 1 10 over here to the ones place, and we stick it right in front of the 2, and now we get 12. So we took the 10 from here, we brought it over here. 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 take away 6 is 6. 7 take away 2 is 5, and there we have the answer. Now your author does something that he calls silly counting, and I think it's kind of fun. But it can help you if you have any trouble with this regrouping. So this is what he does. He starts with 79, but then he calls 80 70 10, and 81 70 11, and 82 70 12. You can see why he calls it silly counting, right? But when we're borrowing, we are going to take the 80, and we would, if we had something maybe a -6 here, we would borrow 1 10, leaving 7 tens there, and then we would take that 10 over here to the ones place and add the 10 to the 0, making 10 take away 6 is 4. So we would make it 70 10 and 70 11 and 70 12. So that's just a fun way to kind of silly count, but it can help you if you're having trouble with renaming your numbers. So now let's go ahead, and here's the same problem that we just did, but we had 82 take away 26. We did not have enough in the ones place to take away the 6. So we went over here and changed the 8 to the 7. We borrowed that 10, brought him over here, and stuck him temporarily in the tens, in the ones house. Because remember, we can't have more than 9, and then we have to send him over. So he's just coming over for a minute to make this big enough to take away the 6. 12 take away 6 is 6. 7 take away 2 is 5. And here, over here, I actually wrote the 82 as 70 12, which is what you get when you do the borrowing, 70 12. Okay, and then you can subtract. But we usually don't write it a second time. We just do it all on one. Just try to be as neat as you can. When you do cancel, put your new remaining number of tens up there, and then bring it over and just put a little 1 on the top, and then you can perform your subtraction. Try to keep it neat, but you don't really have to write it twice. Okay, so here is a problem that we're going to have to regroup in two places. So we start always in the ones place, remember? So we start over here, we got 2, take away 7, and that doesn't work. So we have to come over here to the tens place, and we say, okay, may I borrow one of your tens? And that leaves 2 tens for the tens place, and we take the extra 10 and we bring it over here, and we make our 2 into a 12. And 12 take away 7 works and is 5. So then we're going to do the same thing again, but 2 take away 5 doesn't work. We're in the tens place, so that's really 2 tens and 5 tens, but it doesn't work. So we go over to the hundreds place, and we say, may I borrow 100, which is 10 tens. So put a 3. We take the 100 over there, and now instead of 2 tens, we have 12 tens. 12 take away 5 is 7. And then 3 take away 2 is 1. And our answer is 175. And that was just a little review because you already knew all of that. So now we're going to talk about some properties of addition and subtraction that make them pretty neat and allows us to work with them in some really cool ways. Addition and subtraction do and undo each other. They are inverse operations. That's what we call operations that do or undo each other. So basically what I'm saying is this: 5 plus 6 is 11, and therefore 11 take away 6 must be 5. And I could mix it up, right? I could say 11 take away 5 must be 6. So because addition and subtraction do and undo each other, they are called inverse operations, and we can use that to solve some pretty cool problems. So when we look at a problem like this, all right, we are going to add the two numbers to find this big sum. It's the sum of the two numbers 465 and 357. And to get that sum, we're going to have to rename some, aren't we? 5 plus 7 is 12. So we'll put down the 2 and we'll carry the 1 up here. And then 6 plus 5 is 11 plus 1 is 12. So we put down the 2 and carry the 1 up there. 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 1 is 8. So our answer, our altogether number, is 822, and then we can undo that 822. So now we have some 822 take away 357 should equal 465, shouldn't it? Because I'm going backwards on an addition problem with a subtraction problem. And 822 take away the 465 should also equal the 357. And you can look and you can see that indeed that is so. I will have to borrow and then put a 12 there. 12 take away 7 is 5. I'm going to have to borrow again. 11 take away 5 is 6. 9 take away 3 is 4. And I get my subtraction answer, which is called a difference. So here, what did I do? I just mixed up the order, and I said 822 take away 465, and again, it works out correctly. So we're going to use that principle in doing some missing number problems. So let's look at your first example, and we have this. We have 472 plus AKY, missing number, is 628. So since this is an addition and this number is down here, this is my big altogether number. It's the sum of everything. So everything put together adds to 628. Because I know that, then I can take my altogether number, my 628, I can subtract either one of these. Well, this one, I don't know what it is. So what if I subtract this one? And then that will give me whatever AKY should be. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 8 minus 2. We'll do it over here because I have a spot to write it. 8 minus 2 is 6. 2 minus 7 doesn't work, so we come over here and take away 1 and bring the, it's 100, isn't it? We bring the 100 over to the tens place. 12 take away 7 is 5. 5 take away 4 is 1. And now we know that A is 1 and K is 5 and Y is 6. Now let's look at another one. Again, a missing number. This time the missing number is on the top. So we have a something plus 257 is 493. So we don't have to sit and scratch our brain. We can just turn it around into a subtraction problem. We can say 493 minus 257 will give me MNP, the missing number. So I've got the same thing written over here. Let's do that. So here we go. We're subtracting. So 3 take away 7 does not work. So we're going to have to come over here to the tens place, borrow a 10, make that an 8. Okay, and then we're going to bring the 10 over here and put him right in front of the 3. 3 plus 10 is 13. 13 take away 7 is 6. 8 take away 5 is 3. 4 take away 2 is 2. Therefore, mystery solved. MNP must be 236. Now we look at another one. We have 526 minus XYZ is 329. And we're going to do the same thing. Now, if this is a subtraction problem, isn't this number on the top the largest number? Isn't that our altogether number? So we're going to say, okay, there's an altogether number. We can just switch the way we subtract them and put this known number here, and then we'll get X, Y, Z, won't we? Okay, so when we do that, we're going to say 6 minus 9. We got to borrow, so we come over here, make that a 1, make that a 10. 16 take away 9 is 7, so our Z is 7. And 1 take away 2 doesn't work, so we come over here, change that to a 4, bring the 10 over. 11 take away 2, we'll erase our Y because now we know that it is a 9. And 4 take away 3 is a 1. So our XYZ was 197. And here we have another one where we're having an unknown altogether number. Our top number is unknown. Something minus the 423 is the 287. So isn't this our biggest number here? This is our altogether number. So can't we just add the other two numbers? Turn it around and make it an addition problem, and then we would get the XMP. So 287 plus 423 is XMP. So let's discover what that is. 7 plus 3 is 10. So the P is going to be a 0. Okay, 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. So the M is going to be a 1, and we carry the other one up there. And we've got 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So the X becomes a 7. And our XMP was 710. And the answer was 710. This is the first one of your 4 practices, and I'm going to show you how to do the practices, and then I'm going to hush and let you do your practices by yourself because I think you've got this. All right, so this is the first of your 4 practice problems. You have 563 plus AKC, and that's going to give you a sum or an altogether number of 912. So can't we just turn this into a subtraction problem? 912 take away 563 must be AKC, right? And then once we find that AKC, could we check it by reversing the way that we subtract and say 912 take away AKC is 563? Or we could check it by putting our AKC back up into our original problem. Either one should work. So let's figure out what our AKC was. We turned this problem around to here. So now let's do the subtraction. And 2 take away 3 is not enough, so we're going to come over here and take away, make that a 0, and turn that into a 12. 12 take away 3 is 9, so our C is 9. 0 take away 6 is a problem, so we're going to come over here and make this an 8, make this a 10. 10 take away 6 is not a problem anymore, it's 4. And then 8 take away 5 is 3. So as a check, can't we take our AKC and replace it with 349 here? And let's check. 12, okay, so I did that in my head, didn't I? 12 take away 9 is 3. And then we're going to make this one a 10. 10 take away 4 is 6. 8 take away 3 is 5. That works. Or we could have taken our 349 and we could have replaced it right here. 3, 4, 9. 3 plus 9 is 12. Carry the 1. 6 plus 4 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. And 5 plus 3 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. And there you have it. And aren't you glad that I'm going to let you do the other 3 practices, because I'm sure you're tired of listening to me. This is such easy stuff. And this is Mrs. A. And may God bless your day. Do your homework.